Good morning and happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome to the Daily Mastermind. This is round two. We had some technical difficulties in the first one. Just going to give you guys a quick rundown. Today, we're talking about how to not have an opinion and its importance in your life. We're going over things like Marcus Aurelius saying that we care about ourselves more than anybody else, yet we care about other people's opinions more than our own. Opinions have a way of setting our day up for success or failure. They have a way of making our lives happy or sad, full of drama or free of drama. And we're going to discuss that right now with our panel. As always, sit down, have a wonderful, wonderful morning with us, and join the discussion. This is the Daily Mastermind. Jumping right back into it, please, everybody. Welcome back, Claire Rogers, iTopia Coaching founder and CEO, and retired U.S. Naval Chief Carl Blea is in the house. This is our second run. We had the first one went a little south because of some YouTube technicalities, which is always fun. If this is your first time with us, please subscribe, follow on pages, join the groups, and join the discussion. This is all for you to help you grow and master this thing up here. Back to opinions. Let's get back into that briefly and talk about the importance of having or the lack thereof. Claire, we'll let you jump in. Give your rundown real quick. We'll jump to Carl.
I think it's important to have opinions, absolutely, where it matters. We don't need to have opinions on things that do not matter. We don't need to get caught up in other people's dramas, for example. We don't need to invest our energy in that. Where I think it's important that we do have opinions is standing up for people who are disenfranchised, or people, somebody who's gay, straight, bi, transgender. We want to be anti-prejudice, for example. We want to be pro-women, that kind of thing. We don't need to go out in the street and march. That's okay if we want to. But if we hear something that is persecuting somebody else or is at the expense of someone else, I think it's important to have an opinion. However, I think it's important how we communicate that opinion. Because if we're faced with somebody who is ignorant, for example, they're not going to react well if we turn around and say, you're ignorant and you're stupid, and we misspeak about them and we call them bad names, for example, or if we yell and scream. I mean, how often does that work in an argument, for example?
Seems to work in Britain pretty well.
Whereas if we can sit down and listen to someone and understand, well, why are they anti-gay, for example, or why are they racist, or why are they misogynistic? Try to understand where their opinion has come from. Perhaps we can change their opinion by listening to them, validating that you have heard what they have to say, but communicate another opinion that doesn't threaten them, but helps them come to a different conclusion. So that's why I think we need to be careful of saying we shouldn't have any opinions, because if we don't have any opinions and if we don't stand up for what is right, then we're almost condoning bad behaviors.
Facts. Love what Joe Torres is saying right here as well. Have opinions on what your values are. May be different for everyone. That is where proper discourse should happen. We're not saying that you should not have an opinion, folks. For anybody that's listening, we're not telling you don't have opinions on things. We're telling you to be resilient with your opinions. Be smart. Give your when you give out an opinion, you are basically giving a part of yourself. You are willfully ingesting yourself into someone else's drama or someone else's situation in life or their life experience. So be cognizant of that. You have precious, valuable life energy, and to give some of that away to somebody, it has to mean something. Like Joe Torres says, we have opinions on what our values are, what we value. Carl, your opinion on values, my friend. Go. Ed, your opinion on having opinions or not having opinions.
Well, there's a saying we grew up with in the Navy. It was like everybody has a butt, just like opinions. Everybody has one,
Mhm.
and
And they all
so
stink.
there's a saying growing up. We used to sing, "Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me." And I think we as adults we forget that. We really forget that.
Ooh, that's so
Uh,
good.
and it's living your life as a child. And I remember fighting with my cousins and we'd be fighting, but the next minute, seconds later, we're enjoying each other, and we forget about what we were fighting about. And it's not holding on to these opinions of other people. That's the conscious decision that I've chosen to do. Is not, people have these opinions, but unless I'm willing to accept that, and most of the time I'm not, then I get to live my life and I stop suffering. So I've learned to not to avoid suffering by not listening to other opinions. Now I have my own opinions, and the hardest thing is people are reflection. So I stand back and I try to listen to their story. We all have our story, and I get to choose now whether I want to inject into the story or not. And most of the time, I try not to. I try
Right.
to
Because
bypass
because
until I
not
listen to it.
having an opinion can put you out of a lot of drama, can keep you out of a scenario or a situation. Like Claire said earlier, there are a lot of things that you should have an opinion on. There are things that we should take a stand and have an opinion on, like inequality, bigotry, and hate and violence, and these things that where there are innocent people suffering. I think it's good to have opinions in those arenas, but you don't have to have an opinion on everything. And there are those, we all know that person. We all know that guy or that girl in our circle that has an opinion on everything. And you're like, I wish you would just have a day off. You don't have to have an opinion, because when we do that, again, we make ourselves susceptible to the return opinions of other people, which then becomes arguments. And if you become a really opinionated person, then you have to defend yourself constantly. You're constantly having to defend yourself. And that can be soul draining on your mind. When do you think is a great time? Well, let's go back to both of you. I want both of your opinions on when is a good time to not have an opinion. When is a good time to shut your mouth and just let it happen? Claire.
I tend to do that naturally anyway. I mean, I'm a pretty opinionated girl, but I usually, to borrow a running term, as you know, I'm a runner. I stay in my own lane. I usually will just keep my thoughts to myself, but I like to watch documentaries and so forth, and I'm quite informed on a lot of things. But I will usually keep my thoughts to myself. I don't have to be right. So I'm usually the one in the room that's listening to everybody else's opinion because I'm trying to learn, could I be wrong in my thoughts on this? What's another person's point of view? And so forth. And so I will engage my opinion if I think it's going to be a healthy, spirited debate, because again, I don't have to be right and we don't have to attack one another and so forth. I will usually keep my mouth shut if I know somebody doesn't want to learn, if somebody just wants to, spurt off and so forth. I'm usually able to look at that person and say, I'm not going to influence that person's opinion in any way, shape, or form. Therefore, I'm not going to give my opinion to that person. That person having such a concrete and such a firm and vocal opinion on something says to me that somewhere in their life they don't feel valuable. And that's why they have to
Ooh,
exert such a strong
that's
opinion on
good.
something. And so, therefore, me giving fodder back, if they're not going to listen to me, it's a waste of my energy. It's not going to help. Pretty much the only time I'm going to assert my opinion is if I feel that they are being rude or disrespectful to someone, if they are uh, bigoted, if they are anti gay, anti trans, anti women, something like that. I am going to give my opinion then, but only in a respectful way where I think that somebody is actually going to hear the words I'm saying. Look at the master Gandhi, for example. He took down the British Empire not by being mean, not by war, but by speaking and communicating effectively so that others would follow him. Because again, when you think about it, how many times does an argument get won if both people are yelling at one another or asserting their
Facts.
opinions back and forth? It doesn't work. It never works.
Facts. Facts. Carl, what are your thoughts on that?
I try to be mindful of people's story, and so I think it's just taking a step back and realizing that They have their opinion, and I'm going to have opinion, but I really step back and I try to not allow myself to just really listen. That's my biggest thing is I've learned just to listen and be there in the moment, because most of the time in my life I want to fix things and I want to correct things. So I'm full of opinions. So I'm learning to be a better listener, because I think that most of my life I wanted to solve things, and so my mind races. So it's really slowing my mind down and just to be present in the moment and listen to the people that I love.
All right, I want to address what Rick Parr just says here. Rick Parr, a longtime follower of my channel, and he's a smart man, smart cookie. And this is his opinion right here. This is exactly what I'm talking about right here. I want to talk about this. This is what is wrong with society. People are made of glass. If you don't like someone's opinion, argue back. If I hear or see something I don't agree with, I'll say something, like now. And here is my whole point about having an opinion. You don't have to have an opinion. Rick, if you choose to have an opinion on something, then you are willingly suscepting yourself to all of the other opinions that will come as a secondary or tertiary effect of having that opinion. But you don't have to have that opinion. And that's my point. And it doesn't make you made of glass if you choose to not argue back. Joe Torres, know your audience. Facts.
Yeah.
I don't have to have an opinion on something. And that doesn't make me, because if we all know Rick, I am far from made of glass. But I don't have to have an opinion on something. If I don't have my opinion, Steve Jobs was wonderful. Steve Jobs, while not the greatest human being on earth, made a wonderful quote. The rules were written by people who don't know anything more than you do. And so having your opinions does not preclude me from having mine, and I don't have to interject those. And that doesn't make me made of glass at all. Carl, what are your thoughts on that?
The Navy taught me to not interject my opinion, because I always wanted to put myself in a win-win situation. So in the military, I knew when to speak and when not to speak. There was lots of egos, and no matter what, like Toto said, know your audience. And really, it's looking at the people that are in front of you, and will what I say matter? If I can see that, chances are I'm not going to say anything, and I'm just going to let it play out. The people that I love, that I have conversations with, and it starts getting heated, and we go to the point where there is no win-win. I say, I love you, I respect you, but wherever we're going with this is not going to work. And we got to agree to disagree, and that's okay. Because no matter what, I love you, and I just want to be present here with you. And we're not going anywhere with this. And I think our society, we're not doing that anymore. We're not able to have these conversations, because at the end of the day, it's like a bad relationship. You shut down, and then you move on. But our society, until we figure that part out, we're in trouble, because we're no longer having these conversations and being able to come to a balance. Because I'm right, you're right, and no, we're both wrong, because we're not coming from a place of love and understanding. So yeah.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Claire.
I was going to say, I think I've just picked up on the operative word here. I'm reading Rick's comment. If you don't like someone's opinion, argue back. So I personally have an issue with argue, because argue does not bring goodness on either side. I think I'm not going to argue back with someone. I feel very secure in myself and my own beliefs and my own opinions. I don't need to argue anyone to feel validated in myself. I don't need to.
And I think that's what an argument is at the end of the day. An argument is one side seeking validation from the other for having their opinion, right? And pride inevitably gets involved when someone thinks that they're right. They won't give up and say, you're right, I was wrong.
And that's why I think it's important if you hear something that you don't like and you feel the need to assert your opinion. And again, I'm only usually going to assert my opinion if I think somebody's being persecuted, then I will say something. But again, it's in the deliverance. I don't need to invalidate you and make you feel like a bad person. I don't need to personally attack you in asserting my opinion. I can say it in a respectful way that perhaps that person can hear it and say, hey, you know what, maybe I don't need to be a bigot, or maybe I don't need
And
to be friends, or
I
whatever.
think we're stuck on the word argument here because as Rick Parr just said, let me pop that back up. Arguments clear the air. Debates clear the air. Dialogue and conversation clears the air. Arguments never clear the air. Arguments are too heated. But I think we're talking about an argument in two different definitions, because you can argue a point respectfully. You can argue peacefully, respectfully in a dialogue format. Debate is an argument, right? Joe Torres. So I think having a debate in a respectful argument can clear the air, but generally we take the word argument to mean a heated argument full of disrespect and opinion. I do think that an argument in the debate, in the respectful arena, can clear up things, but that revolves both people being confident and respectful, but also having self-awareness and control over their emotion, because you have to be able to admit when you're wrong, right?
Yeah.
Like what Reeves has just said here. I think this is what Reeves has just said. If I think a person I am having an argument with is wrong, that I know they are wrong, I wait them out to let them. If they are smart enough to figure their fault out themselves. Right. So it involves people having the self-confidence and authenticity to admit when they're wrong, because somebody's wrong on one side of the other. And I'm not saying that anybody's wrong in this. Like, I'm not saying Rick Parr is wrong. I am giving my opinion now, yes or no. You are giving your opinion on this. But the whole point here was that you don't have to. You don't have to give your opinion. I think, as Marcus Aurelius so eloquently put, our opinions are giving of the energy of ourselves. We're giving a part of ourselves when we give our opinion away. If we're not comfortable giving ourselves or giving a part of ourselves away, then don't have that opinion. There's no reason to give it. You can still have it, but you just don't have to display it. You don't have to put it out, because then again, that opens yourself up to the barrage. Hoodwink says, is it wrong though to like arguing? I love arguing. Get your heart pumping. I don't even care what the subject is or if I am winning. I just enjoy the act of arguing. This is going to be a completely opinion-based response. Carl, I'll let you go first.
I think the problem is that we're human and most of us take it personally. The problem is when we start having these conversations and arguments, sometimes the dagger hits and our ego takes over, and then the argument just gets worse and worse and worse. And so,
to Hoodwink's point here in his comment, he likes to argue. Is it wrong? Do you think it's wrong to like arguing, or should he be a lawyer?
I don't think it's wrong. Again, I don't have an opinion on it. I just personally am not going to engage with someone who likes to argue. I don't want to put my energy that way. There's also people, and I'm not suggesting, Hoodwink, that you are one of these people, but there are people that like to argue for the sake of arguing. Again, I can usually spot that from a mile away, and I check out, go and have an argument with yourself or somebody else. I'm not going to put my energy towards that. I don't see the value in it. It doesn't help me, it doesn't help you. It's a waste of life. It's a waste of time.
I tend to agree with that. What do you think? What do you think? What are your thoughts on that, Carl, about engaging in arguments? If you like to, and like Hoodwinks, what would you say to a Hoodwink who likes to argue?
I'm not an argue. I like to put everything on the table, communicate, have a conversation, but I do get a little heated, but then I calm down, and I'm not one to argue. I'm just really, I back down, and I just really take that moment to back off, because I can't spend the energy on arguing with somebody that I know I'm never going to go anywhere with.
I think there's a difference between arguing and debating. I really do. I think there's a big difference, because I like to have a good intellectual, healthy debate. I think it's great. Even if I'm wrong, and Claire can tell you, I have no problems admitting when I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Hey, and I can point that out. But I do enjoy a healthy debate, because I think that's how we grow. I think our minds are muscles, and we have to work those muscles from time to time, right? And so if we don't want to have an opinion on something, or we don't want to inject our opinion into a scenario, but we still want to engage in the dialogue, how do we do that? How do we toe that fine line? Claire, I'll let you take over on that.
I very much enjoy a healthy spirited debate. And again, I'm very comfortable with not being right. I'm totally cool with not being right. I'm totally cool with someone swaying me and saying, hey, have you thought about that, Claire? And I'd be, hey, I hadn't thought about that. I'm totally cool with having healthy spirited debate. I don't like the word argument. A healthy spirited debate with somebody who's informed on a subject. So again, if I'm informed on a subject, I'm not going to get into a healthy spirited debate if I'm just blowing thoughts out of my head. I won't engage. But if I'm informed on a subject and the other person is informed on the subject but has a different opinion, rock and roll. I love that because that stimulates my brain. It helps me to think, hey, maybe I'm not right, and so forth. But if I'm informed on a subject and somebody is not informed, I'm not going to engage in that topic because I just think it's a waste of time.
Carl, what do you think?
I feel the exact same way. I do not like to argue. I love heated debates. I have them all the time with my friends and family, and sometimes I'm okay with being wrong, and I'll admit that I'm wrong. And sometimes some of my friends and family, they're like, "No, I'm right." I'm like, "Okay, whether they're right or wrong, I'm okay with that. That's
Right.
fine." Really stepping back and saying, "I'm okay with that."
I think
Well,
I don't mind. I kind of enjoy being wrong, and I'll engage in a debate that I'm wrong in, even if I know I'm wrong, because I know that I'm going to grow. I know that I'm going to gain something, and I'm going to learn. And growth should be our daily pursuit.
I think it's also important that in my personal opinion, I don't need to be right at the expense of someone else. That's really important. So I'm not going to invalidate someone or make someone feel stupid just because I need to feel right. I think that's really important when we argue or we have a spirited debate is don't be right at the expense of someone else's feelings. I don't want anyone to ever walk away and feel really stupid or dumb or
Right.
like I've invalidated them. That's I don't like that at all.
Right. And again, not having an opinion helps us. I don't like, again, if I walk into a room full of nincompoops having an argument about nincompoop things, I don't gain anything from giving my opinion. I don't gain anything from coming in and appearing intellectually superior. I don't gain anything. All I do is hurt. All you do in that scenario is hurt people. So that's what I'm saying. You don't have to have an opinion. You could just let that go. Just, you know what? There's birds chirping over here. I'm going to go watch the birds chirp and let that just run its natural course. And you spare yourself and some other people a lot of unnecessary pain and heartache. I won't belittle either. I got that by my parents when I was young, and I'm sorry that you had to go through that. I do go grab the popcorn hoodwink. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We're going to go ahead and cut this out. This was the second installment of this. Great topic, great subject. We love all the feedback, you guys. You guys had some great comments, great opinions, and some good suggestions, and we greatly appreciate it. We encourage you to come back tomorrow. Keep coming in. Tomorrow we're going to be coming at you from the beach.
Nice.
And now I want to make sure, I'm hoping that we'll have the proper connection and everything will be fine. Claire and I will be on the west coast of California in San Simeon on the beach at the ocean to take a few days of reflection and introspection because that's what we need. And so we're going to do that. And hopefully our connection will be strong enough to run the show. If not, maybe Carl has to run it. And he's got some internet connection, and we'll deal with that when we get there. It is fun, though. Thank you so much, Rick Parr, for your stuff, for engaging, and everybody else. We are going to leave y'all with a final word of the day to leave y'all with something inspirational and positive. And today I'll let Claire get us started off. Get them, baby.
So I would say to keep our opinions in check, make sure you're not the smartest person in the room. If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room because you're not learning anything.
Nice. I like that. I don't want to ever be the smartest person in the room ever. Carl, get him.
Be mindful of your thoughts and your words, and be your archangel for your words and your thoughts of your opinions. That's my word.
No doubt. So well spoken. Ladies and gentlemen, Henry Miller said that all growth is a leap in the dark. We have to have the courage to know when to have an opinion and the courage when to not have an opinion, because our opinions, words, can hurt people. Words can be great, words can degrade, words can teach hate. We have to monitor our opinions because we don't always have to have them. Having an opinion all the time makes you a pawn on somebody else's chessboard. It makes you reactory to somebody else's action. You don't have to be that person. And remember that refraining trains you to be accustomed to holding back when the time really counts for it and you wish you would have held your tongue. And we always have those times where we're like, man, I wish I would have just shut up. Train yourself to not have an opinion. You don't always have to. Weigh the outcomes, weigh the pros and the cons of having an opinion. And if it doesn't, just let it go. It's not going to hurt you or anybody else to not say anything. And sometimes silence is the best master. Thank you to Claire. Thank you to Carl. Thank you to everybody that tuned in. We are the team from the Daily Mastermind, and we will see you guys tomorrow. Everybody have a beautiful, beautiful Tuesday. Do something good and healthy in the world. Be humble. Be kind. Love each other. I love y'all, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.